to get my my whatchamacallit, my promotion out there, and we'll get started. Of course, today is supposed to be Media Blackout Day, so I will not be posting on Facebook and Twitter today. YouTube is a bit of an exception. All right, there we go. Pop out the dang old chat over here. My all right, let's get this back up again. Okay, so continuing from yesterday, I couldn't stop myself, and I basically did the entire rest of the game after I took a break for an hour. It's just too good, guys. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it, but I will explain where all of this came from. And like, we had a lot of things right yesterday, but boy, we sure had a lot of things wrong, and we were missing a lot of information too. So I'm gonna go over some stuff here. So first of all, one of the things that's the most stupid for me yesterday was that this kid, I thought this was this guy, without realizing that these two jerks are in the same freaking picture. So of course this guy can't be that guy. So I mean, from that, I determined that this guy is a completely separate miracle. So he would have to be Elias M, because there's stuff in Lauren's journal that mentions that miracles Elias, quote unquote. So it had to be this guy. So that's where I got that from. And then we got a little newspaper thing right here. I'll show it to you briefly once I find it. Roottrees Motor ads. Wilkins Motors is now Roottrees Motors. And at the end of this, we see a picture of this lady, Tessa Roottrees. So as this turns out, Tessa is the daughter of Elias M over here, who is also a mechanic, as you can tell by his clothes here. He's definitely not a preacher. And there's one Wilkins name that they gave us, and it was Catherine Wilkins. So of course that had to be the spouse. So we figured this out over here. We'd already figured out the miracles last time. So over here, here's something else that drove me crazy yesterday. I had this correct. Marguerite Roottrees was definitely the person that was here, but I had the picture wrong. And of course, this was going to be the picture for Marguerite, not this over here. I don't know why I thought it was the other way around, because this person's obviously blonde, and Gwen is blonde, but this person has darker hair, and you can probably assume that that hair is red, leading us down to this area. So, something in Lauren's journal mentioned that every woman before her on this tree was a housewife, which meant that the two women on the top here, Gwendolyn and Marguerite, are both housewives. And of course we found their spouses, which isn't incredibly important other than getting some last names on there. So that's how I figured that out. That was really tricky. That was one of the last things I found out. So you get into some really interesting territory down here. So we remember Gwen Roottrees. We found out her husband that she split up from, Walter Forsythe. That's Wild Bill. And of course that's her too in the picture with her boys. She had two kids, Ronald Roottrees and Robert Roottrees. And as we remember yesterday, in I don't remember where exactly we saw it, but there was a mention that somebody, RR, tried to remove another family member from the Clansett Trust for doing illegal things and being born out of wedlock. Now, this was tricky to find, because you can't look up Ronald Roottrees and Robert Roottrees. You have to look up Ron Roottrees and Robbie Roottrees. That drove me freaking crazy yesterday. I could not find a damn thing about these guys until I eventually figured that out. So you find out that what happened with the trust was that Ronald actually tried to remove Robert from the trust because Robert embezzled a bunch of money from him on a failed TV show that happens to contain this person, Thomas Sheridan, who is one of the main actors and also married to Raina Roottries over here. So Robert tried to embezzle money from him, and Ronald took it to court and tried to get him removed from the Clancy Trust, which didn't happen because of all the rules that they have in there and things like that. Robert Roottries was also born out of wedlock because Gwen and Walter were split up by the time he was born. You find out a lot of this stuff by searching this lady, Penelope Tessa Green, who's like a comedian, mainly at a lounge. You find out that she's married to old Ron over here, and she's also part of the failed TV show that he created. And they had 2 kids, Jack, who's in the photos with Tessa, and she's got a little baby named Christina. Christina, I believe I found out just by pure chance and removing most of the other Roottrees. That was, I think, the only one left. So you find out, of course, he's a director from doing that TV show, and Robbie over here is a screenwriter. So yeah, I'm curious if this line is actually around here too because of the whole RR Clancy Trust kind of issue. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that line of stuff over there. This girl that we were trying so hard to find out yesterday, she was very tricky. This is November Roottree, and she is the daughter of Edward Roottree, who is this, much I hate to say it, this young Trump-looking guy who's a lawyer. You can find an article that's sort of vaguely about her online, about the November Dance Studio. That's how you find out that she's a dancer. You have to sort of use your brain to connect the picture. I just kind of assumed that this was probably who that was. And she had to have been an only child, so it was either put her here. She couldn't go here. That's where I had her yesterday, I believe, for a bit. There's not a lot of, okay, we'll go over this when we get there. Anyway, so November Roottree goes here. She's a dancer, and the way to get her spouse that I found is you look at the name November and check and see if there's any other dates and the people that they give you, which the only one that it brought up was April, so April had to be the mother. That's how we got that. Okay, now, we had a lot of trouble with these 3 boys over here, or these 3 men over here last time. So I'll go over them briefly because there really isn't a whole ton of information here. In fact, the 2 spouses here, I basically just guessed based on what was left and ended up being right. But anyway, one of these brothers had to be Elias C. because it's mentioned in Lawrence Journal. James Roottree in an article mentions that his pops was into advertising, which gives you his job, which is, in fact, advertising. And James Roottree also had 2 kids. We get some evidence that proves this. Of course, it says he was married to this right here, guitar vocals. This is Candy Roottree here on the guitar and vocals, from a band called Floozy. Like, if you Google that name and you Google Floozy, you get a lot of information. There's another thing here about that as well that I can't quite remember, but obviously it makes sense that she's a musician based on her father's job and all that stuff. And you get this here, Christmas card that has, what's his name? His son Wolf listening to his parents' latest music. So that makes that easy as well. So that's how you figure out that. So you got... Okay, good. Just making sure I had my mic on. I don't want to go over all that again. Okay, so that's how you do that, and you figure out, like I said, this guy, because James in an article says his dad was into advertising. Now, on to this guy. Somebody says, I think it was, yes, okay, so it's an article with Raina, where she says that her grandpa, Clancy Roottrees Jr. It doesn't specifically mention his name, but that's who it is. Her grandpa is a history professor, and that she was very inspired by some of his lectures. So was Lauren. I believe Lauren had something about him in there too, being a professor. So that's how you find him out. Of course, you got Carl, one of the main dudes in this, father of the 3 Roottrees girls. That's an easy one. Lauren's the one that wrote the diary. Honestly, thank goodness, because how would we know any of this without Lauren? Kind of insane. She gave birth to Clark, who was a big old playboy and had a whole bunch of stuff going on. And now he's an ugly mofo. I mean, look at this. This is kind of nasty. I don't want to see it. He tried to marry this girl at 16, Danielle Franks. Didn't work out. Ended up marrying Diamond LaRue's sister, Jane LaRue, at this point, and they had a son, Chris Rafferty, who wrote that one email from yesterday complaining about the conspiracy theories, and his spouse is Luisa Garcia, which was an information they just kind of gave you. But if you dig deeper, you find out that this marriage ended because Clark Rafferty slept with the youngest LaRue sister, Kim LaRue, and they are currently married right now. And they have 2 children, which were very easy to find because they have Rafferty LaRue in their names. And I believe they give you this photo when you're just searching for Clark, right? They give you this photo here. I guess it was an inspiration. Oh, Clark made a company called Raffertoons. That's how you find out about all this stuff. Information for the famous ad campaign. For a Super Bowl ad or something. Anyway, so that's that line of things. And if we go over yonder, we have this mystery to find out, which I have not looked into yet. That's what I'm going to do for the stream after I'm done catching y'all up. We have Elias Roottrees Jr. and his wife, Patricia. As we know, they are both the parents of Samantha Roottrees, who is an estranged child, basically. And, you know, the centerpiece of this mystery over here, who is EC, the farmhand, and who is his spouse. I have my theories about this, but we will find out in a little bit. So, of course, we read all about in Lauren's diary how Patricia Christensen and Elias Jr. Basically made a baby when they were really young, and the dad said, "Get that boy out of here," or "Get that girl out of here," I don't remember which one, and sent Christensen off somewhere else to get married to some older man whose name isn't specified. He either died or they split up, I can't remember, and these two got remarried. And I believe, I'm sorry, they sent the baby off as well, who was Samantha, off to, excuse me, off to EC's farm over here. Before they got her back after they got married and tried to integrate her back in the family, which they did successfully. So we've got Samantha, the weird estranged person in the family who ended up being really important. She marries Ernest Madsen. They have 2 kids. Ernie Madsen Jr., who is the 4th president of the company, very popular president for a long time, really got the company up to a new level. Kind of like, people were comparing him to like Willy Wonka in the diaries. He unfortunately died very recently he had like a heart condition that was mentioned, I believe, in the conspiracy theories. This is his wife, Deborah Bean. You know, we were looking at this picture yesterday thinking it was supposed to go over in this spot, but no, this is actually his wife and daughter here. Nicole Madsen. This was a guess that just ended up being right, but somebody mentioned it in chat yesterday, so they were right about that too. So on this side, we've got his sister, Gwyneth Madsen, who is mentioned in Lauren's diary as having a green thumb, just like her mother. So they're both farmers, and I'm sure they learned their skills from this farmhand over here as well. So at this point, the only place left to put an only child was here. So this had to be where Stephanie Cattrall went, the middle school student, which meant Sam Cattrall goes here. He's, of course, the husband of Gwyneth Madsen. So that's that line. And now, all the way over here, we're starting up here with Gwendolyn Roottrees, who now we know is probably a redhead, even though the photo's in black and white. Housewife marries James Morton. We go over here. Zachariah Morton is her son. He becomes the second president. Marries Clara Lansing. He has 2 daughters here. One of them is Gwendolyn Morton, who is a housewife, and she marries this douchebag over here who's supposed to be some famous doctor, but she's obviously very unhappy with him. And we have Carolyn Morton over here, who also ended up marrying a pretty terrible dude and decided to become a lesbian, so she got with this lady, Eloise, and adopted a daughter, who's the politician in that postcard, Stephanie Landon, who married Brian Jones, and they're still married and don't have any kids that we know of at the moment. So the way we find out about a lot of these folks over here is actually through Carolyn Morton, because she has... I believe I went over it in the stream yesterday. She has diary entries about how both of her sisters married really sad, boring men. Stephen Wilson, sad and boring. David Kellogg III, don't know much about him, but she's also a housewife, so clearly he pays all the bills and, probably doesn't care about her that much. So we know Gwendolyn had 3 kids because they give us evidence proving that in the form of this picture. And we figure out who those kids are based on pretty much process of elimination, because it's the 3 Wilsons that are in there that aren't Steven. And this one is Jason, as it says on the thing I just pulled up. So these 2 are also twins, which kind of threw me off yesterday because I thought this might be college, but this is still K through 12, apparently. So they must be like barely a few months apart or something like that. I don't know how you can be considered twins that way, but hey, who's complaining, right? So there's that. And then we make our way all the way over to the left side of this for our last bit here. We've got Angelica Morton, redhead. You could tell by the hair that she's Zach's sister. She's the housewife because, like Lauren said, everybody before her and Gwen were housewives as far as the women were concerned. She brought us the Hudson line, where we get Guy Hudson, the 3rd president. I had his picture wrong yesterday, so that was my bad. I thought Guy Hudson... I was so sure Guy Hudson was this guy. He was not this guy. This is an alternate picture of James Roottrees. And after looking at it closer, eventually I figured that out. And it was one of the last things I figured out, too, because... I don't know. I was so stuck on that picture. I thought for sure that was Guy Hudson, but it wasn't. So, Guy Hudson... he has a wife, Patricia Jones. He's the 3rd president, tries to invent caviar flavor, which doesn't go over, in their candy, which doesn't go over very well. And he dies in a car accident, which is very tragic. Poor guy. No pun intended, poor guy. After him, Ernie Madsen Jr. becomes the 4th president, and he apparently learns the ropes from... who does he learn the ropes? He learns the ropes from Zach over here when he's younger. So, yeah, so that's what happens there. And, of course, we have Bonnie from the the interviews with Carolyn Morton. That's her sister who married a sad man and became a housewife. These 2 are on the chocolate ad, as I did correctly state yesterday, which is this one. This is Bonnie Hudson and Guy Hudson on this ad, so I was right about that yesterday. And, of course, this lady had 2 kids that were mentioned in Chris Rafferty's art project. David Kellogg IV had to be the 4th because he's the 3rd, who's in a swim thing in college. And Bethany Kellogg, this was her yearbook photo, so she has to be still in K through 12. So, after all that said, we've completed the board, and we're trying to figure out this mystery. So, who is EC? My theory, all of this information is in Lauren's diary, by the way, which makes me think that Lauren must be the person that is giving us all this evidence and needing this mystery solved. I feel like she wants to know what the hell her dad's second life was. I think he was gay. I think he had a husband, and I think that husband's name was Mr. Miller. So, the first thing we're going to mention here is that EC is Edward Clancy Roottrees. who is a farmhand. Should I put Edward Clancy or Clancy Edward? Let's try Clancy Edward Roottrees. How do I get his picture, though? And I think his spouse is this guy named Mr. Miller, so we have to figure out who Mr. Miller is, because it's mentioned in Lauren's diary. So, if we go to... Let's see. I didn't recognize Sam at Uncle Junior's wedding to Patsy last year. At the reception, when I asked who Sam was, Pop shushed me and said it was complicated. So Pop knows. So he's got to be the guy. Clancy swore that he saw Sam walk alongside the farmhands E.C. and John when he used to drive past the old Anderson farm on the way to work. John Miller is probably Mr. Miller. So let's see what happens when we Google this. John Miller. Nothing relevant, okay. So if we go to periodicals, John Miller. Nothing relevant here, nothing here, nothing here. Oh, we had all these periodicals we needed to get to that we didn't get yesterday, unfortunately. Okay, so John Miller doesn't come up with anything, but it is important to know. So Clancy swore he saw Sam working alongside the farmhands, E.C. and John. Wait, Clancy swore? Clancy. I'm assuming she means Clancy Jr., right? It had to be Clancy Jr. But then he would know what his dad looks like, so then why would he say E.C. and John? So is E.C. not her dad? Okay, maybe I'm totally off base here. The old Anderson farm. Okay, maybe we look up the Anderson farm then. Let's look up the Anderson farm. Anderson farm. Okay, here we go. The first Anderson maple farm. There's a few pictures, including a famous picture of Elias and Gwyneth. Before marrying Elias, Gwyneth Roottrees was Gwyneth Anderson. She had no brothers, so as the oldest sister, she was to inherit the Anderson maple farm so long as she married. Before Elias took over, the farm produced only syrup. Supposedly Elias's idea to create candy instead, the success was not immediate until they decided to combine all the maple with other flavors, which led to the 5 pieces. We know this already. The farm has been preserved as a tourist attraction, and there are daily demonstrations and educational tours that merit to show off turn-of-the-century appliances that Gwyneth would have used as a housewife. Okay, interesting. So that didn't really give us anything new, which I'm surprised about. So let's keep looking. Let's keep digging here. Farmhands E.C. and John. Miracle's youngest, not my brother, chimed in. When he was riding his mini bike, Sam gave him some old tools and taught him how to make the bike engine faster. None of us think that proper, but Eli certainly seems thrilled. Of course, this is the guy that became a mechanic in Miracle's line. Nothing explains why an outsider cozied into family affairs. One who works on the farm. Let's keep looking here. Elias Roottrees had given in to his wife and announced that Sam, an obscure relative, would be included in family gatherings. So we already know that Elias and his wife are her biological parents, but they sent her to this EC guy. Who is EC? Trim their branches from the family's tree. Okay. Wins in Paris. Spent ages trying to unravel. I didn't recognize Sam at Uncle Junior's wedding to Patsy. At the reception, when I asked who Sam was, Pop shouted, shushed me and said it was complicated. So, okay. I think, so there are 2 people that this could be. It's either her dad, or it's Elias C. Roottrees, which I don't see why it would be her brother. That doesn't, her brother can't be Sam's dad, so that doesn't make any, or you know, can't be like a guardian, like he's not, whoops, oh no, I didn't mean to do that, go back. Yeah, we did find that, okay. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna restart the game, I'm not ready for that yet. Alright, hold on a second, hold on, we're going. Boom. Alright, Coming back, coming back. Okay, can y'all see that again? Good. Alright. Let's go back. We got the final optional entry, of course, because we're right about that, obviously. Okay, so does Elias have... It couldn't have been Elias. EC couldn't have been Elias, because Elias, is his middle name C? So let's look in... Somebody's gay. Like, that's all I can really say, is somebody is gay here. Like, and who is it? I gotta find who the gay person is. It doesn't say his middle name is C here. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, what's next section? Plans to do this with the clans and trust. Okay. Anyway, let's go back here. So, it cannot be him, because he is the same age as Sam. And Sam was a baby when she was sent to the Guardian, so it's not him. That still leaves her dad. That still leaves Lauren's dad. Is there anybody else with EC in their names here? Probably not. Right? Not any of these people. It wouldn't be any of these people below this line, like, at all. So it'd have to be one of these people. It's not Elias Jr., because he's the biological parent. It has to be him, because Lauren got a letter mistakenly sent to her that had his name, Clancy Edward, backwards. It was Edward Clancy, which has to be a clue that he's EC. So you have to be Clancy Edward Roottree, and your spouse has to be Mr. Miller. So can we look up? I'm going to take a wild guess here and say Sam Miller is somebody. Okay, go to the periodicals. Sam Miller. Anything. Nothing. Silver screen. No. It's not going to be Starlit or Teen Blast. So, okay, maybe Sam Miller is nobody. Who is Mr. Miller? Oh, wait, it confirmed that for me. So I was right. Okay. When did it confirm that for me? Okay, I guess I was correct. So who's a spouse then? Okay, maybe... Okay. Edward Clancy Roottree. Nothing. Okay. Business Watch. Butler County. Nope. Modern Music. No, it's not going to be any of those. Okay. So, let's look back in Lauren's diary then. Where he saw Sam working along the farmhands, EC, and John. So, like, why is Clancy calling the farmhand EC, though? Does he know? Is he trying to keep it a secret? So, John, huh? Is John... did we try to search John Miller anywhere in here? John Miller. Nothing. Okay. John Miller. John Miller. Is Miller Farm anything? Miller Farm. Nope. Miller Farm is not anything. Okay, now I'm stuck again. So, your spouse was Mr. Miller, but, like, what is his first name? Who do we know that's a Miller? Let's go back. It's in Lauren's journal. Like, whatever the answer is here. Her mother's family, nobody ever mentions a Cassell, so that kind of fits into there why they would never talk about her mother's family, because her dad was gay. Her father was a head lawyer for the candy company and wrote the Clancy Trust, of course. Gwen, Aunt Margot, Gwen. We're not looking for any of that. We're looking at Sam's stuff. This talks about Zach taking over. That's not it. Granny had sisters. Gwen's in Paris, yada yada. So John is the name of... It's John something. I'm assuming it's John Miller, but I'm not for sure here. Okay. So what does this say here? Brother seen to pursue passive knowledge, yada yada yada. This is not really relevant to what we're looking for. We need to go back to her retrospective diary. So let's start at Scandal here. Explosive incident about Sam. Yeah. Sam and her children were not meant to receive. Yeah, okay. She didn't get candy money. Scandalous secrets. We know about Patricia. I mean, we could Google Patricia again, and that might tell us something. So, Patricia, the daughter of a local steel mogul. Maybe that has something to do with something. Her baby Samantha was sent to the Roottrees. Elias hid her away with the local farmhand known as EC. Okay. She was married off to a much older man and sent away. That was the end of that, almost. Of course, they reunited. Okay. Sam. Back to Sam. She's a fine woman, Heather, blah, blah, blah. Ernie and the kids are lucky to have her, yada, yada, yada. All her children have eyeglasses. Pop warned us away from that farm for years. I never met EC in person, but Pop once referred to him a confirmed bachelor, which means he was gay. I looked that up. And I suspect that was why he kept us from there. Sam had to grow up in a house with him and his roommate, Mr. Miller. I mean, you say roommate, but really it's probably his lover. And here's her dad is referring to himself as a confirmed bachelor, which is kind of hilarious. Okay, I think John Miller is the name of the spouse, honestly. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that in. Let's see what happens. Yes, of course, we found no more optional entries. Family tree complete. Indeed. Booyah. Hello?
So, you had a guess for EC, and identified his partner as John Miller?
Oh, was I right?
Okay, that's what we were here to determine.
Are you Lauren?
I'm
was
Sam
I right?
Madsen.
Oh, you're Sam.
You know me
Oh, that
as
makes
Samantha
sense too.
Roottries. Yep, I got old. The only picture you have of me is from 40 years ago.
Fascinating.
My book tells the truth about Elias, the 5 pieces, and my parents. Not my biological parents, Elias Jr. and Patsy.
Oh, I was right.
My
Yes.
fathers, Edward
Hell
Clancy
yeah,
Roottrie
dude.
and John Miller.
Woo!
By now, you've either read Lauren's diaries, or you're just an incredible guesser.
I read those damn diaries, girl. Trust me.
Lauren was right. I hated the 5 pieces. She just didn't know my full reasoning.
Okay.
My father, Edward Clancy, was a great man. But his identical twin, Clancy, and his father, Elias, were not.
Wait, identical twin? So wait, it wasn't her dad, it was her dad's twin. What the heck? Alright.
At age 16, my father was caught kissing a farmhand.
That's not surprising. Yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. So her dad was homophobic and was like, ew, my twin brother is kissing a dude. Okay.
Back then, they wouldn't even acknowledge gay people existed. Having one in the family was unthinkable.
Yikes.
The same year, I was born. A bastard granddaughter. 2 stains on Elias's perfect family. He decided to fix both.
Not cool,
They
Elias.
tried to erase Edward Clancy. They even removed his 5 pieces flavor. His name was deemed a dirty word. He became EC.
Oh, wow. So he was actually in here. EC is for egg something, huh? But they removed him. Interesting. Um. Yeah, wow.
We were sent to the farm, and the 5 Pieces did their best to keep the next generation away, to isolate me from family. But Elias couldn't erase us from existence. Laura never realized I was the little girl from her diary.
Yeah, I saw that. The poem about a dirty girl came up and said, "That's my pops," and I said no and pushed her and got angry or whatever. Yeah, I remember that.
Who could blame me for being so confused that day? Her father was an exact copy of mine, except without the beard. And while the 5 Pieces celebrated a new factory, farmhands did the real work. It's a fluke there's a picture of my father at all.
Oh, that's him.
There he is
Oh,
in
wow.
the background.
Okay.
The 6th 5 Piece.
Wow, I didn't even think that he would be relevant there. Crazy.
Patsy returned, and things got complicated for Elias. She fought for my freedom, from a life she deemed unworthy.
See, this is new stuff, too. I didn't realize this was related. How awful is it that such a beauty was ripped from its rightful fate and worse sent to live in possession of your brother's twisted twin, an outcast forced to live a life of labor under a wicked relative. Wow.
Elias relented, so long as I never learned the truth or receive inheritance. They knew I'd help my father. At Elias's will reading, I learned part of the truth. The rest I learned at home. I began to hate the 5 Pieces.
I don't blame you, Sam. I really don't.
My father made me stay silent. He was worried history would repeat, and that his grandchildren would become outcasts. His fears weren't unfounded. As you know, my son Ernie died a few years ago.
I remember that.
He had trained to take over as president. But due to family politics, or perhaps hubris, it went to Guy. A real Roottrees. He nearly ruined the company.
Sure did.
When Ernie took over, he saved the operation. Over 13 years, he made the family billions.
Real Wonka
Ernie
right there.
earned about $36.
What? Oh, because of the freaking Roottrees salary thing. Jesus Christ, man. Ernie's kind of a hero. How did he live with only $36?
They got by on Debbie's salary.
Okay,
But when
I
he
see.
fell ill, he couldn't pay his medical bills. His death was my tipping point.
I see.
Originally, my book was meant to expose Elias's hypocrisy. Until I started to look into the other dirty laundry.
This is that RR thing I was talking about with Gwen's kids.
Ron tried to have Robbie removed from the trust, but couldn't. Robbie was a blood relative, even out of wedlock. That sounded familiar. The Clancid Trust that Elias established was designed to secure his family's future. His entire family's future. He couldn't write exceptions in without the whole thing falling apart. My book can definitively prove that Elias was not the paragon of virtue he's heralded as, and that my daughter and granddaughters are just as much family, at least in the eyes of the Trust, as anyone else.
Good for you,
The Clancid
Sam.
Trust will secure their future. They can decide what to do with their shares. But I'm old, and I'm not in it for the money. The truth has been eating away at me for years. But now, I can set the record straight. Thanks to you.
Woohoo!
As someone
We did
who
it.
enjoys searching for the truth, you might understand the power it has. Whitewashing the past to protect the status quo can lead to repercussions in the present and future.
Ain't that the truth?
I appreciate what you've done for me. The tree wasn't easy, and proving who EC was will be an uphill battle. That's what we were here to find out. If I can find my way into the trust, my share belongs to you.
Interesting.
Looking at the family tree on your wall, now with my father's, everything finally feels complete. Unless a whole lot more Roottrees somehow appear from thin air, this is the last time I'll come knocking. Thanks again, and so long.
Good for you, Samantha. Doing something good in your old age. They are lucky to have you in that family tree. Sam Madsen's book was published. Oh, yeah. Mixed reviews. Okay, yeah, sure, because of the Roottrees, I'm sure. Life went on, and a new president took over the company. Rootree family faded from the news cycle. Well, who's the new president, though? Then everything changed? There's another mystery to... Ooh, okay. Rootree Mania is now unlocked as a new game. Alright. I'm a secret Rootree. Okay. Alright, what's Rootree Mania? What happens if I click continue? Is this is probably not Rootree Mania, right? Alright. There's more game, that's crazy. Okay. So, well, now we know, I mean, I can't put in the dude's picture, but yeah. Now we do it. We got it. We got everybody. And we even got the mystery correct, which I feel very smart about, honestly. Let's go look at that Rootree Mania. I'm really curious about that. I'm a secret Rootree. New game. Rootree Mania finds out what happens to the infamous family in a whole new mystery. Hell yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we've done loose ends, so I ain't worried about that. Let's do it. Oh my god. Oh, hello, Clark.
Hi, I'm Clark. Probably not who you expected to be knocking, but life's funny sometimes. You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down.
Oh, man.
A lot has happened in the last year.
So we still don't know who
Far
the
too much
player
for the
is.
public.
Maybe they're not
But there's
related.
stuff going on behind the scenes, too.
Hmm.
I never wanted to be president.
Oh,
I'm
Clark
not
is
great
president
with
now.
stress. And with my mother's deteriorating I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
Lauren's passing away.
I'm not
that
here
sucks.
for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
Mm.
Now that it's public knowledge, the Clancy Trust covers any Rootree despite their history with us. A lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
Of course they have.
You may have seen that man on the cover of News Time. That was a disaster for us. And then Miracle went and made it all about himself.
Mm-hmm.
The long and
Of course
short of
he
it
did.
is a lot of potential cousins just showed up. Sam's helping some of them, but she's not really going about it the right way. And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family.
Opinions.
I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side.
Can't believe this guy was a playboy. Come on, dude.
In the meantime, if you're willing, I can share our files with you. Pass them along to Sam if she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally.
Huh. All right. Interesting. I mean, I don't know. Just don't try to
Feel
be a
free to do your
playboy
own
around her, I
research.
guess.
I've been told you enjoy things like this. To each their own.
Huh. All right. Well, I guess we got a new adventure here. Let's... Oh, my God. Oh, is all this stuff up here, and here's all the stuff down here. Okay. Wonderful. Now we've got infidelity. Ooh, boy. Splitting. So exciting. Well, it's brand new, and I can't complain about getting more root trees, that's for sure. Open that when the family tree's been filled in, of course. Woohoo! Alright, what do we got? Notable events. August 3rd, 1999. It's been 8 months since you helped Sam Madsen with the research necessary. Sam was true to her word and paid you an incredibly large sum of money. Never mentioned you by name, however, so you've managed to keep a low profile. The Roottrees, on the other hand, have not. Below is a summary of notable events since the book's release, though you can refresh your memory in full detail by searching online. 6 pieces. Sam Madsen's book about Elias Roottree was released in February and was a bestseller for a few months. At the time, Carl had not yet been replaced. Carl was replaced? Interesting. Okay, the Roottree Rift. In March, the Rootree Company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases and a clear lack of leadership. And there's Clark. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Rootree, and Carl hadn't been replaced, right, as the president because he died, of course. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Rootree and welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Clancy Trust and included any other new questions of lineage. 5 Ps? Okay. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Roottrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. Highest profile of these by a wide margin was a rapper named Felix Fellows. Interesting. Highest profile was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5 Ps as a publicity move at the same time. 5 Ps is the only notable person on the updated tree. Alright. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Roottree publicly and vehemently denied that 5 Ps was a Roottree. The Roottree's legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5 Ps to drop his claim, and, in a moment that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm, the test proved he was a Roottree. Suddenly, the world was obsessed with the Roottrees. Jesus Christ. So where's 5 Ps up here? That's what I want to know. Oh, he's the only one with a star, right? So we're looking at 5 Ps right here. So what's his actual name? His name is Felix Fellows. Felix. Oh man, we don't get first and last name together anymore, huh? Interesting. And you're a rapper, right? Is it the same jobs? Let's see. Musician. Yeah, okay, you'd be under musician then. Felix Fellows. All right. Good old 5 Ps. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Roottree, blah, 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 denied, and then he proved he was a Roottree. Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottree. In July, an anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed an affair with a Roottree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe Roottree. Okay. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret Roottree and therefore entitled to a share of the Clancy Trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the Roottree Mania saga. As more and more of Anonymom's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5 Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test orchestrated by lawyers on both sides proved that her daughter was not a Roottree. The final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, and countless accusations of the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or an attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of Roottree Mania seemed to disappear overnight. Now, a month later, feels like a distant memory. Okay, so Anonymom's daughter is not a Roottree. Gotcha. So where would that put her over here? We probably just don't know. Interesting. So there was some infidelity from whoever this was, too. Alright, let's keep reading, I guess. Interesting, okay. Previously on the Roottrees are dead. This is a new investigation with a new focus after many months of newfound interest in the Roottrees. Recommended you try to catch up with some of what happened since last time. Some web searches may yield new or different results. Okay, so basically go over all the information again. Some books and magazines from your previous one may be relevant to your new one. It's also a much more widespread search. List of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Not all of them will be used. So it's definitely harder. Okay. Below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats of your initial dive into the Roottree family tree. All evidence from before is still available, and for your convenience, any searches that don't lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. Okay. Roottrees Candy Company was founded by them. Entire company has financial reliance on the health. Blah, blah, blah. Most of the action took place in and around Butler County. Elias, Carl, and Reno were on the cover of magazines. Lauren Roottree, Miracle, Jim Roottree had physical media. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources, mentioning many of her relatives directly. 5 pieces. Elias's children could be identified based on the initials of the original candy flavors. There were 5 presidents. Many were featured in periodicals. Carolyn Morden, Stephanie Jones, and Brian Jones were featured in campaign posters and led to Carolyn's art book, which enabled you to fill out more of your tree. Many of the younger Roottrees were found by following a rabbit hole through a conspiracy site that led to finding a searchable web address for Chris Rafferty, Lauren's grandson. November Roottree was really difficult to place. She really was. Her occupation can only be found via Brian Jones' company website. Ronald and her brother Robert and his brother Robert Rootree go by Ron and Robbie. Both worked on a TV show called Brother Trouble until Robbie embezzled money and fled to Paris. Rob and Ron unsuccessfully tried to have him removed from the trust. Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about historical letters. Also a few dead ends and red herrings. Aloysius Herring Rootree claimed he was a Rootree, but he wasn't. Family Man, a book about Elias Rootree, turned out to be propaganda. Lauren's other books, historical romance novels, were not very useful. That could lead to other information. Carolyn Morton's sculptures were not useful. Yeah, true. Hi, Clark. Claiming that multiple people have come out of the woodwork claiming to be Roottrees. He's been trying to work with Sam, but she's not answered his calls, and also handed you a letter that said you could share with Sam that said the following. The company I hired to help us with the Clancy Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history as well as people they may have had contact with. That said, the family is not particularly happy with this and are doing their best to slow things down. Many are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches. Please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. Ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you believe can be realistically be part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new root tree. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the new sections of the tree, and we'll take time to handle verifying timeline checks out. But keep in mind that while we're here, if someone didn't have a child or has already been disqualified by lawyers, like in the case of the girl with negative DNA tests, there won't be a place for them on the tree. Okay, good to know. Anonymom and her daughter are not on the tree. Okay. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities. We're only looking for ones that led to potential new root trees. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. These areas are reserved for members of the original family who filled in 8 months ago. Okay, so members of the original family. Nice. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start sorting out infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power. I'd love to say that's only because it would have been a lot harder for women to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. Oh, yeah, fair enough. I mean, the women could be... Yeah, okay. I'll be blunt, I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wish I could claim that I was a perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learn how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit. Consequences be damned. Can't change the past or unhurt those who I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself and to you, refuse to make any more mistakes, and do my best to sort out the various messes we've left behind. So please fill in the tree. Together we can figure out how to make amends. Good luck and thank you both. What if all of these were just Clark? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Anyway, let's start by Googling Felix Fellows. Well, we'll start by connecting to the internet first, of course, because it's 99 and we still got dial-up, of course. Good God. Okay, spider search. Felix Fellows. 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, is a rapper who found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost root tree and entitled to part of their fortune. His alias 5Ps is a play on 5 pieces. An article you find on the website known for the particularly harsh reviews of modern music gives his most recent album, Root of All Evil, 1 star out of 7 for whatever reason, with the headline, "More poser than my action figure collection." The review mentions his real name is David, and he used to go by Dirty Davy, and the author rues the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt, as at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. Oh, that's a shame. So his mom overdosed, huh? So that would be his mom, and we're looking for a Davies, I guess, right? Oh no, his name is David. Apparently only one of the songs in the album is new, and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs, and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kickstarted when he appeared a few months ago in the corner of News Time holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. At first, the Root Tree company denied it vehemently. Miracle Root Tree even appeared on the same magazine a week later, but since then they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him into the family. The press release at the time stated that they had new evidence that confirmed his story. So Guy Hudson, huh? Let's go to News Time really quick then, just to start. There's a lot to digest in that article. It's a new periodical. Rapper 5Ps famously appeared on the cover claiming to be a root tree. Yeah, we know about the discourse, root tree mania, yada yada. Reported record subscriber numbers during this time, which lasted until the end of root tree mania, and the world generally stopped paying much attention and went back to reporting more traditional news. Okay, so we got periodicals. which means we've got news time, and we're gonna search 5Ps in here. Felix Fellows, aka 5Ps, famously appeared on the cover of News Time, kicking off Roottrees Mania. Then a week later, Miracle Roottrees appeared on an article that focused heavily on him, as well as a summary of both articles, as well as a close-up of the photo 5Ps is holding, have been added to your evidence. 5Ps white. That's hilarious, man. Oh, man. You don't think of this kind of dude when you think of a rapper, man, but that's hilarious. He looks lame as hell. Could this rapper be the next Sam Madsen? So that's News Time Weekly. Anything in here? Felix, huh? Holds a picture of his mother and Guy. I can't zoom in anymore on that. That's stupid. Guy Hudson. This article concerns his insistence that his father was Guy Hudson. The story was dramatic and sensational and initially dismissed as fake until a DNA test proved that he was related to Guy Hudson. Okay, so we know who his dad is. So his dad's Guy Hudson. Bam. Guy Hudson, who was the third president. Okay? Bam. Five P says his mother Joanna was Zach Morton's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit. Okay. So his mother's name is Joanna. Joanna unknown right now. And she was a secretary. And she OD'd, so she's dead right now, so that was probably her last job. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. Oh, so that was her last job, the movie rental store. So she was in retail, I guess? She was a cashier? Cashier's in here. Okay, so she was a cashier. The next morning, they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She'd stolen all the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. That's a shame. Felix went through her belongings. The only things he had to remember her by were a hairbrush she always used, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. Then he found it, a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of News Time. He says it was the only one where they were dressed. The only one not from the affair itself. Pictures shown in full inside the magazine was added to your evidence. Good. Magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. He was born Felix Fellows to Riley and Joanna Fellows. Okay, so Joanna Fellows. Joanna Fellows, cashier, and you're Riley Fellows. Riley Fellows. There you go. But he has never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even by selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He has only recently started going as 5Ps to harness the power of his lineage. The writer did some research into the truth of these claims, but was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Roottrees Company as a secretary in the early to mid-70s. Also confirmed she died of a drug overdose, and Felix went into foster care afterwards. They're unable to track down his father. Reached out to the Roottrees Company, but at the moment the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Roottrees has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual, and nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity, opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Understood. Let's look at this photo. So that's Guy. Roottrees family picnic, huh? Interesting. They definitely look like they were having an affair, don't they? So the rapper 5P appeared on the cover of News Time holding this Polaroid of his mother Joanna, who when she was Zach Morton's secretary at a company picnic. Names Joanna and Guy had an affair leading to his birth. Okay. So, bam. There we go. And you're Felix. Do we not? Oh, we need 4. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's continue looking into 5P then, and this other piece of evidence here. Charlatans and thieves. Miracle Roottrees fires back. Well, you know, Rootree probably had a freaking affair, I'm sure, at some point. Rootree's probably over here somewhere. Oh, Hudson had another affair over here. Very interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. I wonder if Miracle is even over here somewhere. He's got to be, you'd think, or at least the son, maybe. Miracle Rootree appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after Five Piece did. Vehemently denied that Five Piece was a Rootree. Article was before the DNA test that proved it. Doesn't focus much on the details. Comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on, as well as the character of those he feels are attacking his family. Starts with the 6 pieces content. Says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. Points out Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Rootree, and that Sam did the same before her. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. Man, this dude sucks. F you, Miracle. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided. Okay, let me guess, you're gonna go into some homophobic shit, right? Leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sinning or be disowned. Yeah, it sounds like a preacher. Miracle says it was EC's own choice, but that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering he and John continued to live together. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from the 6 pieces. He recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy trust that the family's been subjected to. Doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves into arguments. They've hired an outside legal team to help, but so far every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. This is a long one. He focuses on Five Piece, who appears on News Time before him, calls him a grifter and a delinquent, says he uses their name and produces to sell filth to the masses. All the accusations, he says, is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. Cites Five Piece's lyrics as violent, sexist, and ungodly, and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion, because of course he does. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those who wish to hear the true story can join him on the farewell tour the upcoming fall. Oh my god, and he's using it to promote. What a scumbag, dude. The Miracle's Rootree are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Rootree. And while he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your hometown. Good God. The article mentions that Miracle's son did not wish to comment and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Rootrees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he's the oldest living Rootree, despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. It was unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. Yikes. That's not fun at all. So, I think it's very important for us to search up Guy and Joanna. But first, let's go with Guy. Guy Hudson. Only president, we know about this. During Rootree Mania, suddenly rose to prominence again after Five Piece appeared on the cover of a magazine holding a photo of Guy and his mother. A few people that existed adjacent to the company in the 70s have come forward with stories about debauchery and swinger parties. Guy liked to throw large holiday parties whenever he had an excuse, and they often got very out of hand. This fact has led some people to speculate that the night he died in a car crash, he was drunk or impaired in some way. But the Butler County Police have released multiple statements and ample evidence that proves decisively this was not foul play and that no party had taken place. Rootree's lawyers have been quick to threaten litigation to anyone who's tried to disparage Guy or the company in public. Interesting. So where do we go from this one? The Fancy Flavors debacle. Let's look at that. He was president. Okay, that's the same thing. We go to periodicals then. Guy Hudson. Felix Fellows famously appeared on the cover of News Time, yada yada. Okay. Yeah, we know about that already. Let's look at some other stuff. So this is irrelevant now. I'm glad it tells me that. That's irrelevant now. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Probably nothing there. Okay. So we didn't find out a whole lot about him other than he had debauchery and swingers party, huh? Swinger parties. What if we Googled this? Let's see. Nah. Alright. I had to try, right? Okay, we looked at that already. We're looking at Update Guy Hudson, right? Can we look up the Butler County Police? Maybe we'll get something for it? No, nothing. Okay. Roottrees lawyers. What about Roottrees lawyers? Tell me more about these lawyers. No. Okay. And we looked up the Fancy Flavors debacle. Yeah, okay, that didn't give me anything. We didn't look up Rootree Mania yet. Let's just make sure we don't miss anything. Focus on the Rootree family because of the five-piece saga and underlying through line on how to pop culture treated Rootree Mania was an excuse for everyday people to claim they were also Roottrees. Daytime talk shows had I'm a Secret Rootree episodes. Late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family. There's a widely shared website where you can fill in your own name to find out if you were a secret Rootree. When you submitted your name, it simply said no with an image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. That's actually hilarious. Rootree lasted only a few weeks, just long enough for 6 pieces to re-enter the chart and no trigger to trigger new printings of other Rootree-related media. Included Lauren's diaries, VHS releases of Gwen's old movies, as well as countless other unauthorized biographies. Mostly seemed to attempt to capitalize on the Rootree sisters, Carl and Brenda. The re-releases were too late to successfully capitalize on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures, and countless novelty shirts that had variations of I'm a Secret Rootree became immediately unfashionable. Okay, I'm interested in these unauthorized biographies, to be honest. Okay. So, can we Google Lauren's diaries? So, this says new printings of other Rootree-related media. Okay, so maybe we need to search back up Lauren Rootree again and see if we can find any more information, because she was a queen last time with her stuff. Okay, there's an older version of this page. That's good. So this is new stuff. Lauren Rootree, author of A Life Between Wars, was tracked down by a reporter using as being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. Was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. That's a shame. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond. Okay. So that didn't really tell me a lot, but maybe if we put her in periodicals. Okay, that's irrelevant. You're irrelevant. News Time, irrelevant. Silver Screen, irrelevant. Starlet, irrelevant. Okay, so she'd be in the library somewhere. Maybe let's try A Life. I mean, this was the diary we had last time, right? So this is probably not anything new, but let's try. Lauren Rootree. Boop. Oh, good. We got something for this. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added it to the rest of your evidence. Hell yeah. All right, enough of you, Miracle. You suck. New passage, baby. Entry titled Cruelty from Lauren Rootree's diary, written in 1963. Focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs and may be more useful this time around. Okay, I'm no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage. But he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa, which was nearly 20 years ago, but there's an emptiness in my soul. Do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. How many of my girlfriend's husbands have been unfaithful? If I am unable to remain true to the ghost of a man with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you could reach out and touch? Someone you can joke with? I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match. In the worst way, my mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family, saying blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Eliath, please remember them. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in Miracle. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have had eyes for anyone outside of their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Okay. Interesting. So her mother and father were looking at other people. Mentions the subject of affairs. Do not understand my contemporaries. Okay, not have to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match in the worst way. Mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I've grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others. They make fun of everybody. Not even our family maladies and religion go unmocked. Okay, so her family are buttholes, I guess. Possible infidelity, 1921, 1949. It would probably be 1949 around when there would be infidelity. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably Clancy Edward Roottree. Most likely, that is. Oh, Miracle's in here too somewhere. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? You're a lawyer. Bam. And I'm sure that his wife is probably up here somewhere too. Who is his wife? Sarah Cassell. So, So split up, huh? I don't know. I'm just gonna put him there for now. Maybe we put Sarah here. If we can. Maybe not. There is no Sarah. Okay, so then is Cassell in here? No? Or did they say her mom had a different last name or something? No, it would have to be a Cassell. So, anyway, so that was interesting. Where were we? She's in Pittsburgh. A reporter tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder. Okay, interesting. We could do Clark Rafferty as well, because that seems important. New president of the Roottrees Corporation does not include the fashion line. It was announced that he and Ron Roottrees would be taking over what was essentially described as a transitional period in the aftermath of the Six Pieces. Okay, so Ron Roottrees took over too. Interesting. About 2 weeks later, the company released a press statement that thanked Ron for his work but announced Clark was the new president. Most of the information about Clark you knew already. Many descriptions of him tend to focus on his advertising career and that his mother was Lauren. Few seem to touch on his complex and volatile marital history. Since taking over, Clark's tried to remain out of the spotlight, but did have one notable foray in the public eye. He gained a lot of support when his first move was a statement in favor of accepting Sam and her family in the trust. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Sam Roottree. Do we have anything for her now? No. We can search him in the periodicals and stuff, maybe. Clark Rafferty, Business Watch, nope. Butler, nope. Music, nope. News Time, nope. He wouldn't be in Teen Blast, so I'm not even going to bother with that one. Who else can we look up here? Oh, we didn't look up Joanna Fellows. Is she anywhere? Let's see. Fellows, right? Joanna Fellows. Business Watch, Butler, Modern Music, News Time. Okay, there we go. This is something. There, we already looked at this, though. Silver Screen, wouldn't be any of these, probably. Alright. What about her spouse? Riley. Riley Fellows. Starlet. Silver Screen. News Time. Modern Music. Butler. Business. Nope. Alright. So what are we missing here? Sometimes I forget to look at, did we look at News Time already? In Spider Search? Yeah, we did, I think. Yeah, we did, okay. So we didn't search Miracle quite yet, did we? Yeah, okay. The oldest living Roottrees reprises and retells his incredible true story. Fortune was nothing compared to the powerful force of the Almighty, yada yada yada, okay. Consider this your last chance to see him. In an intimate evening, Miracle would reminisce about his famous history. When originally drove him away from his fortune into the arms of religion, he has not done that, what a liar. Learned how his life has become more wealthy in spirit than could ever been from his inheritance. Notably absent are mentions about Miracle's news appearances. Okay. Let's search this up again then. That's nothing new. Okay. What about 5 pieces? Is anything new there? Nope. Alright. Cool. Maybe in periodicals. Business. Butler. Page hasn't been updated. Modern Music. News Time. Okay, already did that. Silver Screen. Starlet. No. What about Miracle Jr.? We didn't really hear about anything. Okay, so that... What about Miracle Third? Roottrees. Nothing. Okay. So if we search up Miracle Jr. here... Butler, nothing new. Modern Music, News Time. He appeared on the cover. Okay, well, that's the old one, but alright. Sure. Okay, who else can we look up here? Oh, we had a different name for Felix, right? So his old name was something else. We should look that up. He was somebody. Who was he? What was his other rap name? So we're looking at Felix Fellows, right? Dirty Davy. Felix Fellows, not 5 pieces. Actual name. His birth name was David Fellows. Okay. David Fellows. Got it. Dirty Davy was 5 pieces' previous stage name. He used to sell records and perform live shows in Portland. Some people selling his old mixtapes on auction sites, apparently called Dirty Devil and Dirt Poor. These discrepancies and debates about what year it was released based on some pop culture, with the range thought to be somewhere between 92 and 94. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seemed to be at the center of the confusion. Some fan sites claim there are multiple versions with different track lists and song lengths, so because there's very little evidence, it's even harder to verify that information. Well, let's keep going down the rabbit hole, shall we? Song that was on 5 pieces mixtape Dirty Devil. It appears to be the only song that didn't make it onto a studio album that people thought should have. In it, he references a popular movie called White Men Can't Jump. Alright? It's caused confusion. It's agreed upon the mixtape had to come out in 1992. It's point, the Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday. He would have been in 1994. Some take this to mean the album had been released in 94. Others claim he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since his response to some of the more questionable lyrics has stated multiple times he was just a dumb kid since it was released. Can we look up White Men Can't Jump? Okay, well, it doesn't give me anything new, but that's kind of funny. Okay, what else was it? Yes, I Can Jump. Multiple versions. Let's go back again. What about Dirt Poor? Mixtape. A lot of online discourse, and people like to point out in one of the songs he includes someone that would be revealed to be his own distant cousin in a list of attractive women. Okay, that's a little weird. In the lyrics to one of the songs, Heat mentions a few different prominent female actresses, models, and musicians from the 90s and provides a crude punter line about what Fellows felt about them. When released in 99, much of the rhetoric was toned down to be less overtly profane, and the line referencing Raina was clumsily replaced by Dana, a reference to the character from the X-Files. Dana? No. Okay. Maybe we should look at Raina then. Raina Roottrees. Still up, though, instead of cherry pink with purple, it's now more traditional black text on a white background. Young webmasters turned the site into a memorial for the sisters and their father. Seems like she did end up getting her ears pierced like Rose after all. Regardless, there's no relevant information. Picture of the sad MIDI piano. Damn. Find that charity's been set up in the girl's name, the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. Interesting. Root website has a small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but contains no new information. The most recent catalog had an entirely black cover with no text on it. Root is currently managed by the designer, who was Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognize the name, and she seems unrelated. Also a scholarship page. Awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Gives them an opportunity to show off their designs. The fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottrees sisters. Other aspects of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. There's something we can look into. Name of a law firm that's been hired by the Roottree Candy Company. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. We'll have to look her up. Can't find much about the company from before this year, though all the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco and the revelation that the internal law group was complicit, they hired outside counsel. Ruby Legal Enterprise Group now seems to ties to multiple aspects of the Roottrees Corporation. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. So let's start with Ruby Spratt, and then we'll go back to Cicely. Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information from before her time with the Roottrees is from a website for a magazine owned by a major airline. Subject of an article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. She grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There she graduated. Man, there's so much reading in this one. Graduated at the top of her legal class, quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent firm. Few high-profile corporate-involved cases. One was a legal consultant for class action lawsuit for manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Company services are a cross between traditional lawyer and a PR manager. So this might be a dead end. I mean, there's Mid-Eastern University here. Yeah, we'll just see where this leads us, and then we'll go back. Notable private college midway between Maine and Miami. Mascot is the Spectres, though they're not known for their sports programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League, some refer to it as Little Ivy. College has embraced this, calling their newspaper the Herald, which is a combination of Hedera, Ivy, and Herald. Herald, yeah. Website boasts they have a historical technology museum on campus and a still functioning computer from the 1960s that takes up a full room. Also have a printing press. Alright, well, we have to look this up to get it in our periodicals, right? I knew it. Cool. So we got a periodical. Nice. So we need to look up her in that periodical then. So, what's her name? Ruby Spratt. Okay. Ruby Spratt. In the Herald. There we go. Graduated top of her class from Mid-Eastern's Legal College. Valedictorian speech was controversial at the time. Was quite serious with heavy focus on wealth and equality. Didn't go over well with predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place, went to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. The ideal occasion for a celebration of undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished neither of these events had transpired. Passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remain unconverted. Oh, that's a shame. So we didn't really get anything from that, did we? Or did we? So all we know about her is that she is really focused on wealth inequality, I guess. Interesting. Okay. Is she in anything else? She is. Oh, there's an older version here. Oh, wait. No. This is brand new. Clark, as well as Ruby and her company Ruby Legal, were featured in Business Watch after they took over the Clancy Trust. That's probably... I haven't been highlighting very much, but that's probably important. I bet you Clark probably slept with this lady. Ruby approached the Roottrees in late March after the rift, but well before Roottree Mania, an accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer wanted to work for very little money. Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy's implementation was not legally sound and that there would be constant legal challenges. She's in charge of the trust as a public face to prevent further issues. Her first move was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family. It went quite well, and they hired her in April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Have we searched this? Yes, we have. Okay, we do need to search this Cicely Sanchez, though. Author best known for Portrait of a Changed Man. Okay, we need to look that up. Cicely Sanchez. Book's description has this to say. What if everything you stand for or you know to be true today could disappear in an instant? She tells this powerful true story about a man who woke up after being saved from drowning in his backyard pool and became an entirely different person. That's probably relevant. I bet. Included are interviews from those that knew him best before, as well as one-on-one chat with paints an entirely different picture. You won't be able to put it down without wondering, what if that were me? Fascinating. Okay. Let's find out more about her. Her follow, Foreign Gospel, did not perform as well critically. Well, we gotta look at that now. Jesus Christ. Cicely Sanchez. Out of print. Tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand and be... I bet you this is a miracle. And they probably had an affair. Specifically with a goal to convert 10,000 people. Returned to the United States just after 2 years, claiming he was succeeded. The book tells his version, but the author also traveled to Thailand and claims he's talked with some of the so-called converted. That's probably miracle, I bet. She has written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh, but her first two are her claim to fame. According to a site about authors, he's known for her nonfiction that focuses on exploring darkness in the human psyche. She appeared in a magazine called Piketty, an article about a book she had commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. Ooh, this could be the other Guy Hudson affair. Magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to inclusion of pictures she never had the rights to publish. Fascinating. Okay, well, give me Piketty. I want it. Give it to me. Dang it. Piketty magazine. Gotta be more specific, right? There we go. Has no consistent theme. Tabloid-esque articles. Appears in the grocery stores. Doesn't feature celebrities. Tends to latch on and create sensationalist headlines. Beanie Babies, Magic Eye images, and Red Bull. It's often come under fire for printing fiction along with the facts. It gets around by staying in every issue that all of its articles are in all the hearsay that's fine to print. Ran an article about Cicely Sanchez, an author claims to have written an unread book about Guy Hudson. Okay, let's copy that. Article is not the main focus of the issue, yet the magazine was legally threatened by Roottrees Corporation. This particular issue, the Big Sass Seabass issue, was pulled from shelves. Now become a collector's item, especially amongst conspiracy theories attempting to figure out what the Roottrees company was hiding. But a recently finished online auction that listed a copy over $1,000, though nobody bid. Big Sass Sea Bass is a talking fish that sits on a fake mount on your wall. Okay. Yeah, of course it's a ripoff of something. Does this have anything to do with anything? Good God. Appeared on the cover of Piketty magazine in the same issue. Roottrees article appeared. Okay, well now we have to go to periodicals. And go to Piketty and look for Cicely Sanchez. Good. Focused on talking toy fish and the demonic messages it supposedly said as the battery ran low. Piketty had an article about canceled book. Book subject was Guy Hudson. The issue said to publish pictures that she didn't have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, the issue was pulled from store shelves, making it the subject of some conspiracies in an instant collector's edition. This is incomplete in the archives. Interesting. Okay, that's Basilbub. Could this popular gift be filling homes with satanic messages? My God. This was the issue of Piketty that contained an article about Cicely. The story concerned an unreleased book she'd written about Guy. Photos of the guy that Cicely did not own the rights to publish. Unfortunately, the magazine was issued a cease and desist, pulled from shelves, and the version you found had the relevant pages removed, rendering this magazine useless unless you want to read about a potentially demonic fish toy. Wow. That's hilarious. Okay. Is that all we got from that? Really? Maybe we look up this. Maybe we look up Basilbub. Nope. Okay. No. Alright. Nothing there. Okay. So, anything else on here? This utensil will help you lose 50 pounds. Okay. What's it say on here? Big Sass Sea Bass. Okay, we already know about that. What else can we look up here? The Roottrees Rift. I don't think we looked that up yet. First was fairly standard. It says there's no president of the Roottrees company but was made aware of the release of the book. Second release was emailed. Ron Roottrees would be taken over temporarily as interim president. He was aware of the book and had verified the claims within and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. Okay. How many lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again? Quickly cleared to business reporters that the time between the two press releases would not be logistically sufficient, even using the conference calls. This was reported on many channels, and much shorter press came released the next day. Anybody here in the chat? Getting a little lonely. Anybody around? It's okay if you're not. You can ghost. Draft of the announcement was made prematurely. Clark and Ron would be taking over as the first joint presidents. Stringent verification process. Okay. Sounds like we need to... Yeah, it sounds like we need to look up Ron again, to be honest. Let's just, like, look at this, though, really quick. Okay, here's something. He ran an article 2 months after the rift about what really happened with the Roottrees. It mentions that nobody from Roottrees that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Timeline of events have been constructed. Accidental leaks in the source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are the most vague parts and supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. Family had a preliminary vote after Carl died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron to take over because of his experience running RR Production. He was well known and well-respected Roottrees. Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. We're worried he'd get the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie, which makes sense. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth, and they stalled on him. He released the press release himself. Okay, that's probably something to highlight. Caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president, but according to the Business Watch source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect it. They eventually let him go. Did that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. Huh. Alright. Interesting. The Heterold? No. Modern Music? Wouldn't be in Modern Music. News Time? Nope. Piketty? Nope. Okay. Sounds like it might be important for us to Google old Ronnie boy over here. He reversed the announcement and said okay, Ron was dropped from the title. Hundreds of results about this. Most articles are retelling. Ron had done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on is not something he wishes to discuss. He wants to release a movie about it someday. Oh no, Gwen died 3 weeks ago, huh? That's a shame. What about Robbie? He was released from French prison after serving a few years for assault. Fascinating. His embezzlement and arrest were featured in 6 pieces. Has become much more publicly infamous. Has not returned to the United States, but when journalists reached out after the death of his mother, he had issued a blanket statement. It was hard in our family. My brother and I, after spending time together caring for her and mourning, have finally made amends. Highly transformative a few weeks when it came to our relationship. I'm in recovery for addiction, a major process. I wish to remain private. Interesting. Okay, well, we gotta look up Gwen now. She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. She made no effort to stay in the timeline. Yeah, okay, largest role was in Guys Like Us. Died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden severe case of pneumonia. She'd apparently been in relatively good health, and she was 67. Okay. Yeah, okay, we know that. Somewhat formulaic. First time on home video. The time it took to manufacture of Guys Like Us meant it missed the height of the craze, and so it did so modestly well, and there were talks of a remake. Interesting. Alright, let's go back to this. So we searched Clark, we searched the 6 pieces, we searched that guy. Why don't we search, let's see if we can figure out what this is about. Oh my god, so much. Okay. You're gonna have to give me just a second here. Sorry, you're gonna have to give me a minute here, guys. It's a lot of reading anyway. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. Okay, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson, and her daughter was a Roottrees, of course. Appeared in the shadows in a disguised voice. Anonymom was self-inflicted. Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to parts of the story she found credible. Momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on a media blitz, but this backfired. People became skeptical of her story. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. After fumbling the 5-piece story, the Roottrees were more prepared to handle all Clancy Trust-related cases. In a week, DNA proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Roottrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Others felt duped. Many people suspected the affair had been a hoax. Many demand she be held accountable. Yeah, though it wasn't scientifically proven that Jane Doe is not a Roottree, it doesn't mean her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it had been verified that the story about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Leave them alone! That was the beginning of the end for Rootree mania, since much of the fun was shared fascination about secret Rootrees. Others think they, like any fad, just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to 6 pieces. and things soon went back to normal. Jane Doe has already been eliminated as a new root tree by the company's lawyers, who are the ones verifying your work. Anonymous mom's affair does not appear on your updated tree. That's fine. Okay. Why don't we go here and search secret root trees and see what comes up, if anything. News time. This one, silver screen, Starlit, nope. Teen Blast, nope. Okay. Yeah, we had to try, right? Okay, so what else? What didn't we look up? Because we're definitely missing something here. Did we look up? Okay, maybe we didn't look this up yet. Okay. By Sam Madsen was released in '99, perhaps assisted by the still relatively recent plane crash. Let's go to the public library and look this up. There we go. The book was released earlier, and the details of the truth about Elias, as well as Sam's fathers. He verified her story. Sam had some sections of other family secrets and rumors. Much of it didn't matter the primary purpose of the book, but some of it's new to you and may be important to your search. Okay, let's look at that really quick. 6 pieces. There's old Elias right there. Sam's book has a few different passages about her own history with the company and the rumors and gossip she collected in that tenure. She ran the farm for a period starting in '68, till her daughter Gwyneth took over. Most of the rumors coincide with the reign of Guy Hudson, who took over as a president in 1978. Sam wasn't a fan of Guy, and according to 6 pieces, it was an open secret within the family that Guy was not much of a remaining faithful to his wife. Many of their hires at the time were young single women, and Guy often spent a lavish amount of money on private parties. That's the swinger stuff they mention. That was 20 years ago. Sam warns that most of it's hearsay. Still, you find the following info that may be relevant. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter. This is the information we need to finally get some stuff, I think. At one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. Rumor has it that her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. Interesting. Okay, well, let's Google this restaurant really quick. Not because it's changed, it seems to be a common name for Italian. We need to use a more local resource. Okay, so we need to look it up in periodicals, like The Butler. Most recent times was when it closed in '92. The owner, Rochelle Zimmer, sold the land it was building was on, and at the time of the article was unsure if the restaurant moved to a new location or if she would retire. Okay, that's probably an important name to have. Many years before that, there's a puff piece from Valentine's Day 1978 and asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Christine Garland responded. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. That's probably important. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. They grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers. They now reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven, and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary, but went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money to move to Boston and open their own restaurant. Okay, so this could be related. Christine... Okay, Sam's farm supervisors. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who also worked as one of Guy's secretaries. This is probably... What's her name? Christine. So this is probably Elizabeth Garland, her daughter Christine. Met her daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to her pregnancy. Yeah, the caterer was her husband Steve Garland, I guess. So does that mean I'm gonna just put her here for now? Christine Garland. Or no, it would be Christine. Okay, well, it'd be Christine something, but we're Steve Garland here. Stephen Garland. And she was... she delivered produce from her mother's farm. So she is a delivery driver, farmer maybe. I'll go with farmer. Where were we at here? Okay, evidence. Back to the evidence. Where were we? I'm just jumping all over the place here. Elizabeth wasn't aware the party was for swingers. Rumor had it that her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding the markets previously untapped by Roottrees, but he went on trips overseas and often for weeks at a time, and he was known for spending more time and money on unofficial business than meetings and manufacturers. Said that he bribed at least one politician to open a factory in Brazil. Interesting. There's also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was, and was the first to invite Sam to family events. While she had no hard evidence, Sam always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage. Instead of it being a natural course of events, she mentioned Elias and Gwyneth for known to loudly argue, sometimes about another woman. Sam also says her son Ernie once asked her who's Beth because he overheard them yelling at someone about that name. First, Sam knows Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth than the supervisor, but she never met her. Okay, let's see. What can we glean from this? So Elias Roottrees, right, had an affair. Who is the one that was with Gwyneth? The original Elias. Right. Okay. So Elias Roottrees is down here somewhere. So we need to put him here. What? What is this? Is this incest? What is happening here? Why are there two family trees on this? That's so bizarre. Okay. Anyway, this would have been way back when. So this is probably Elias Roottrees here. And he's the first president. And this person is Elizabeth something. We don't know who yet. Good to know. So we're starting to fill out the top a little bit, at the very least. And you're Christine something. Can we Google Christine Garland? No. Okay. Can we go in any of these other ones for this? News time. Nothing. Okay, gotcha. Rochelle Zimmer, huh? Maybe that's relevant to something. So there's another Garland that they gave birth to here. So these are probably, she has one bun in the oven though, as far as we know. And what time period was this? 1992. So actually, Christine, no, that's 1998. That's 1982. So I guess 1992 could be in there. So maybe this is right. Last name would be Garland here. So she maybe had two kids. One to the affair and one with her husband, Garland. Good. That's something. Okay. So who are we searching again? Rochelle Zimmer? Yeah. Rochelle Zimmer. Nothing. Okay. Rochelle Zimmer. Rochelle and her husband Mark Zimmer have a few mentions in The Butler. Both were business owners. Rochelle owned Antonelli's, and Mark owned a local bookstore called Bookmarks. Both closed in '92. Mark was mentioned once in the Times when he was sued by Steve Garland. Interesting. Okay. Well, we definitely have to look that up in The Butler. He's mentioned in a couple of articles. The first was an article about how he met his wife Christine when he worked at Antonelli's. Second is from months later, a listing for a weekend cooking classes, Gourmet for the Groovy. Okay. Wait, so how is Steve... Oh, Steve Garland was the dude... Okay, interesting. Maybe we look this up first then. Let's go thing by thing here. Nice. Okay. Kitchen Tales was a story-based recipe book credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured on a morning talk show. Book released before the internet was widespread, so mention was rare. Book collector states the publishers were unprepared for the demand that there was no second printing. You find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients, mentions that one of Kitchen Tales' recipes used salt water. Includes a scan of the recipe. She says, if you switch out the salt water for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1 filtered seawater, it tastes great. Alright. Can we use this in the public library? Kitchen Tales, Mark Zimmer. Okay, out of print. Re-released as Garnishing the Truth. Entire description of the book, according to it, is a recipe book that contains stories. What? Okay. There. Credited to Garland and Zimmer. Released in '94. It was a quite successful that the duo appeared to promote it. There have been multiple printings. Recipes are accompanied by stories that help the reader remember the ingredients. Reviewer says it seems perfect to learning to cook for the entire family. Okay. So maybe Steve Garland is the author of this? Yeah, okay. The introduction of the book is a series of acknowledgments from Steve. The first is, Christine, thank you for everything. Your support means the world to me. You're apple of my pie. Second is, to James and Robert. Becoming amazing men and incredible chefs, I guess I'm a good teacher. Okay, so there we go. We have our names here. One's James and one's Robert. James and Robert. Robert, please. Thank you. And it looks like they're both chefs. Maybe. We're just going to assume that. Well, no, they can't be chefs because this is, like 7 years. When was that article released from earlier? I mean, maybe they could be. I don't know. Let's just keep looking here. This is from '94. Becoming amazing man and then incredible chefs. I guess I'm a good teacher. Provided my storytelling approach to recipes could be popular. Without this, your book couldn't exist. Okay. Also, forward by Mark Zimmer. I first met Steve in '78 when he taught a cooking class. Next time I saw him was over a decade when he was suing me for stealing his recipes. Yes, really. You might wonder what I'm doing in this introduction. Well, it turns out Steve and I had more in common than we thought. Instead of settling in court, we settled it at McCarran's Brew House over a game of darts. Said they'd give us the first drink of the night free for an entire year for mentioning them. Okay. At the end of the game, he and I agreed we'd both rather make a ton of money together than spend a ton of money on lawyers. Pretty rare to meet your best friend so late in life, but when I decided to retire, I moved to Boston just so we could hang out. So if you're browsing this book in a bookstore, please buy our book. We need more money for when the free beer runs out, and the bookstore could probably use the stale. Okay. So points of interest. McCarran's Brew House. Pub in Boston. List of famous people that have had a drink there, including the former president of the United States, not the Roottrees company, Kennedy. A few listing of television shows and books that have mentioned McCarran's, as well as how they came up. Garnishing the Truth. Local and regular Stevie G wrote a book about food. We prefer cocktails, but he gave us a shout out, and we ain't going to say no to free press. His kids' joint, Friday. Well, there's another one. Full restaurant. Not a full restaurant, just a front door and a very small interior with a window. Only serves vegetables, but it says in spite of that, it's delicious. My Boston homepage. Whoever runs the page seems to just link to random sites, still personal anecdotes related to Boston, and give their relatively short opinions on things in Boston. Very unorganized. Wicked overrated. Saw it in Chef's Signature, so I went, and there was a huge line. They didn't have a single meat dish. Alright, now we're diving into Chef's Signature, since we keep diving into things here. Magazine related to food. Okay, so now we have that. So let's go to Friday here. It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Ugh. Which one was it? Chef's Signature. There we go. Covered Friday less than a year ago, right around the time you were doing your initial investigation. Focuses on restaurants and like the magazine's name implies, each restaurant lists the one main dish that the head chef is known for. Friday's signature is the samosa cone. Cover and main articles added to your evidence. Alright, well now we search the samosa cone. Anything? Nothing. Okay. Okay, interesting. Let's just look at what we got in evidence since it's been a minute. Can a vegetarian diet be trendy? Okay, so these two guys are his kids. Sitting down with the Garlands, the new boys in Boston. Okay, so one of these guys is James, and the other one is Robert. So we have to figure out who's who here. Chef Signature, a nationally published magazine targeted towards fans of unusual restaurants, features James and Robert Garland on the cover. Under the article, the two brothers own a small walk-up called Fry-Dye, placed on their tie-dye shirts. Interesting. Offerings are inspired by the powerful spices found in Thai and Indian food. Their signature dish is the samosa cone, which from a distance somewhat resembles ice cream, complete with a waffle pattern. Instead, it contains fried potatoes, pureed peas, carrots, and a special ginger-based sauce. Robert, who is 3 years younger than James. Okay, so that answers that. Robert goes over here, and James goes... Wait, no, that's right. Right. That's actually right? Robert, who is 3 years younger than James... which means Robert goes on the right. Yes, okay. Jokes that the age difference has left him delegated to wear the sous chef jacket his whole life. So Robert's the one in red. Okay, good to know. And we still haven't gotten the 4 lock-ins? Really? What am I doing wrong here, man? Shoot. Alright. So... he doesn't mind. As a result, James answers most of his interviewers' questions. James credits his love for food and his culinary skills to their upbringing. Most kids hate vegetables, but they don't have parents like we did. My father was a chef, and my mother grew up on a farm that supplied his restaurant. That's how they met. Don't have any memories from the farm or anything like that, since we moved here before I could even talk. But they told me stories. My dad's a great storyteller, wrote a book that partially helped fund Fry-Dye. We moved, they were looking to open their own restaurant, but they never got it off the ground. His line cook gig became less temporary than he'd hoped, and she had to go back to work as a secretary. Before they were old enough to go to school, we spent our days with my aunt. Okay, I wonder who their aunt was. In the diner where he worked, my dad had no room for experimenting, so he'd exercise his skills at home on his days off. Hyper kids come running around. Mom always had the eye for the best vegetables. Parents who are now retired visit Fry-Dye often. They even have a signature dessert, the Sistine apple. Apple pie has been my mom's favorite, and my dad's always had a stupid line he used to make her laugh involving apple pie. Most people realize it's a Sistine Chapel pun and assume that's all there is to it, but it's secretly named after them. Sort of. Sistine? Oh, Stephen and Christine, of course. Interesting. Okay, so we should check out the... Whoops. Where'd it go? What were we looking at here? The Sistine apple, maybe. No, not the samosa cone. What was it called? The Sistine apple? Sistine apple. Okay, so that didn't give me anything for that. That's fine. We kind of figured out who these were, though, at least. Is there anything else to look up in here? Let's see. Looked up the Fry-Dye thing. I think the hardest part of this so far is backtracking, honestly. What's this? The plated loaf. Okay. Kitchen Tales is a book that combines recipes and stories that has mild popularity but disappear from online marketplaces. How to bake plated loaf. For years, two Blakers, Flora and Yates, flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard. He adored her rosemary cheeks. Thought sweetly about one another, but he was one day whisked away, conscripted to break the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flora's tears began to salt her bread. The recipe has blah, 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 and add to the mixture. 10 years later, they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her position at the king's personal baker. Yates found success as well. Is any of this relevant? That's what I want to know. Felt she was torn in two, not been made aware of the gift, and had already prepared buns for the palace oven. She wishes to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her. So is this about her affair, maybe? She'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Cut the dough into pieces. Excuse me. Ugh. Yates eased her pain. She insisted she has no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible, but shared her fear of retribution. Worked together to shape the future, twisted their doughs, make them as one, born a plated loaf. Okay. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days baking together. They traveled for 45 years and settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regrets. So what does that have to do with anything? Interesting. Salt and pepper beard and rosemary cheeks, huh? Does anybody have a salt and pepper beard over here? Potentially. Who even has a beard? Not you. None of y'all have beards. I mean, James, maybe? James has a beard. You don't have a beard. Maybe she had an affair with James. That's weird. He seemed like a good fella, so that kind of sucks. Wait, they're not split up, so maybe I had these in the wrong spot then. Well, no, it has to be here, though, because of the time frame, right? That's really strange. Could it be... I suppose she could also be here? Because they're together. So, yeah, let's move these. Maybe that's what we're looking for here. So, James and Robert, huh? James Garland. Robert Garland. They're both chefs. You're a chef. And then you're Christine something. And you're a farmer. And you're Stephen Garland. I mean, they could still be married, yeah. And then you are the one on the left and you're the one on the right, right? Okay, there we go. We figured it out. Finally, we did something. Good God. Hooray. How much is this going to help? Let's see. Oh, they're giving us more stuff. How about that? Oh, hey,
Has
Sam.
Clark reached out to you? Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life. 3 different people contacted me, claiming that somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news. I felt terrible. So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me. I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there, but the third person who contacted me also had a credible case.
Nice.
Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But you're making progress based on the leads he gave you. It's really hard for me to get a read on him. I'll let you handle it. I've sent you the case I've been working on, and some company records I managed to track down. The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful.
All right. Sweet. I got a bunch of stuff here. Well, let's look at this first. This is some stuff. Photo was given to you by Sam Madsen. A woman named Regina Clementine came to her and claimed that her husband confessed he thinks he's a root tree. Her husband did, huh? Okay, interesting. Stuart is the older boy wearing a vest. The woman in the photo is Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle Roottrees. I knew it. I knew that mofo. I knew that mofo would have been on here somewhere. Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle. All right, we'll keep that in mind. So if they've got, let's see. Let's just look at all this first. Company records. We're given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax mailing information and detail the employees that work directly for Roottrees or in their corporate office. Many laborers on their farms and factories are not listed. Not sure how helpful it'll be except for cross-referencing guys' secretaries and visits overseas. But searching people just because they're listed in these books will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of their time. Okay. So who are we looking for here? Elizabeth Farrow. Interesting. John Miller, Elizabeth Farrow. So Elizabeth Farrow is probably that one lady over here, I bet. Right? So these are not here. It doesn't just automatically switch you from now on, I guess, which kind of sucks, but... So this would have been Christine Farrow, maybe? Let's just say, we'll just do that for now. Guys, secretaries, okay. Juliet McCullen, Joanna Robertson, Doris Mays, Beth Knox. I'm trying to remember, is Elizabeth... Son of Sam's farm supervisor was named Elizabeth. She had a daughter who Sam never met and worked at one of his guy's secretaries. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant met her daughter at one of Guy's parties. So that was... We looked at that, didn't we? Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but worked at one of Guy's secretaries. So if we're looking at Elizabeth... So what's up with this actual spouses over here? That's really weird. Okay. So 1949. I wonder where Miracle would be on here, because he's got to be up here somewhere. Anyway, back to the confidential. Let's see. Elizabeth Cravensworth, huh? Fred Cross, Albert Cross, Douglas Rosenberg. Sam Harmon, Robert Logan, Michael Crane. Okay, so we've got a few secretaries. Juliet, Joanna, Doris, Beth. Joanna's already up here, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, and Joanna's name is not Fellows. It is Robertson. Gotcha. Robertson. Bam. Yeah, so there's that. So that's definitely correct. Is Christine Farrow anything? We've looked at so much stuff today already. Okay. Back to the evidence then. Next page. Zach would be retiring. Guy would be taking over. They held a retirement party. Patrick Decker, Madsen, Christine Farrow. There's Christine Farrow, so we have that right. Yep. Okay, so we got that right too. Beth Knox are no longer employed by Roottrees. Christine Farrow is no longer listed, but Christine Garland has been hired. So wait, Christine Farrow became Christine Garland, right? So we do have that right. Okay, we just don't have a picture of her. Alright, good to know. John Miller, Gwyneth Madsen was hired. Beth Knox, 50-year work anniversary bonus. Fascinating. Beth Knox, is this anything? I know they told us not to search it, but I'm just curious. So this is... Where did we see Beth Knox earlier? She was a secretary, right? Yeah. And that was in the 75. And this says Beth Knox has been there for 50 years. Jesus Christ. So she's been there since the 20s. So he's not having an affair with Beth Knox, that's for sure. Unless he really likes grannies. Which is possible. You know, I don't know. Some people are freaky. Guy began developing following changes were recorded. Roottrees, Cravensworth, and Lloyd Carpenter aren't employed by the Roottrees. Raffertoons is now listed as office staff. The Crosses are not employed. Christine is not working here. Beatrice Watch and Corinne Schwartz were hired. Juliet McCullen and Doris Mays aren't employed. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing were hired. Emily Seinfeld and Sam Cattrall were hired. Okay, I remember Sam Cattrall. He was married to... Yeah. So that name rings a bell because he had that... he is the father of Stephanie Cattrall, and they married one of the Madsons. William Sams was hired under a special category that only existed for 1 year. What the heck? Which one is that? Anything in here? Nothing. News time. Piketty. No, nothing. Okay. That's interesting, though. Office reimbursement, flavor development, caviar. Maybe that's what she was hired to take care of. Travel expenses, Australia, China, France. Butterscotch. Okay. Volatility continued. Many new employees didn't stick around for very long. Okay. Terry O'Connor. Susan Ford has been moved to office staff. None of these names mean anything to me right now. Emily Barnes is now listed. Okay. So she got married. No? Okay. Gwyneth Madsen's not employed, but Gwyneth Cattrall is now listed, and that makes sense. Zigua. Interesting. Christmas tree bash. Grandorf Dove donation. What in the heck is this? Grandorf School for the Deaf, formerly Grandorf Dove, is located about an hour from where Roottrees offices used to be. Okay. Because Grandorf was the last name of the founder, and Dove is a Danish word for deaf. Founder had issues with government translators. It was named to better represent the school's purpose and to correct embarrassing lack of effort of awareness. Staff's listed on the website. You scan through all the biographies and find that the principal, Miss Ford, is fluent in 5 languages, including ASL. She's been working at the school for over 15 years. Mentions she's not deaf, but rather learned sign language to communicate. Mentioned she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Okay, well now we got a new thing to go down here. Let's see. So let's look at the Hudson Wing then. Expansion of Grandorf Dove, now Grandorf School for the Deaf. Separate, much smaller building, ASL courses. Got their name after the president of the Roottrees Company, generously donated that. Interesting. So Guy Hudson donated $250,000 to this. Interesting. Also a vague history section. Donation came from the insistence of an employee of Roottrees. It mentioned she learned ASL from the main school before the Hudson Wing existed to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. After realizing how useful a service like this could be to non-deaf people that wish to better serve those with hearing issues, convinced Roottrees management to invest in the school. Wing opened, she became the first teacher at the new campus. At first, it only operated on weekends, but since it's had afternoon classes. So why would Guy donate $250,000 to this? Mentions the donation came at the insistence of an employee of Roottrees. She learned ASL from the main school to surprise her future husband. Let's go back one. Miss Ford has been working there for 15 years. So this is Susan Ford. I bet you this is a person of interest, so he probably had an affair with her at some point, I bet. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill her in right here, even though we don't have the information quite yet. And then she is a principal. Okay, I'm just going to fill her in right there. I don't know if there was an affair or not. Or if she even has any, you know, spouses or anything like that. Oh man, there's some stuff over here I didn't even see. Good God. Oh yes, I did. Interesting. Some of these people were, man, just had all sorts of fun down here. Okay. Wait, did Elizabeth? Okay, let's just keep reading. Keep reading, keep looking. That's all we can do, right? How did we get here? Grandorf was the last name of the founder. Do we know? Can we search Grandorf? No? Okay. Alright, anyway, back to evidence. Gwyneth Madsen, Gwyneth Cattrall's listed. Guy Hudson died in 1982. Most secretaries were let go, huh? Madsen replaces Hudson. Roottrees joins the special management. Ford no longer employed. No change, no change. Douglas Rosenberg was rehired. Who is this? We don't know. Okay. Angela Ingram, Lincoln Lewis, and blah, blah, blah are not employed. No secretaries are directly employed. They use a temp agency called Worktime Temp. Okay, that's probably something to look up. Company with many offices. It's listed in their site as one of the companies. As far as you can tell, there's no connection with anyone. Okay, worth a look anyway. Stuart Todd, no longer employed. Sutton was hired. Sam Madsen's no longer employed by Roottrees. Interesting. I think we looked at this already. Sugar Plum canceled. Strawberry canceled. Zigua canceled. New Year's Eve ball. Fred Gleason 50 work anniversary bonus. Okay. Root. Clothing reimbursement. What's going on with Root now? We haven't looked that up yet. Managed by a designer who's apparently Brenda White's second in command. Oh, I think we looked at this already. Yeah, we did. That's how we got the Ruby stuff. What else was there? 6 pieces of Prodigy to Genealogy Genie. Let's see. All the information I have about Regina Clementine née Salazar from New Orleans, Louisiana, her husband Stuart Clementine. Apparently the Roottrees lawyers went after her since then. By the time I received her letter, she told me she couldn't cooperate anymore. Husband's a police officer, thought he might be a Roottrees, but he's estranged. Normally I wouldn't be so sure, but she has some pretty credible facts. Stuart's mother is, in fact, it was named Mary Beth Clementine. She was pretty well known in the 30s. And okay, so this is related to the miracle stuff. Singer who went to tour in a lot of churches. Look her up online. She's a pretty big proponent of adoption. Know for a fact she came to Butler County a few times. And Regina said that Stewart told her that they always had spent a lot of time at the Miracle Church. She sent me a proto to prove that she says she is who she says she is. I've attached it to this email. Okay. So we want to look up this person, right? Regina Salazar? Nothing. Okay. Maybe if we go to periodicals. Maybe this is not the right place to have looked her up here. News time, nothing. Okay. Well, we should look up Salazar in any case. Business watch, butler, chef. All right. I think I'm done for today. Thank you all for stopping by. My brain needs a break. Don't be surprised if I do this again and have a little bit more figured